What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Tuesday edition of the Pandemic Update for Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where I do the daily pandemic update on all things COVID and any other virus that could be a health threat to you. Let's face it, there's a lot of different viruses out there. Each of them carry a various different health threat. You got COVID, which is still spreading. It started back in 2020. And here we are in the summer of 2024. We're in the middle of a major COVID surge. And in some places, cases are continuing to rise as there's a new variant that has come to town, KP 3.1.1. So, yes, it's been a long summer. It's been a long pandemic, which has not ended, and you need to be informed with what's going on, because if you watch the news, it may sound like it has ended because they hardly ever talk about it, or they only talk about it for just about 30 seconds at the most. I mean, while people are still testing positive, being hospitalized, going on to develop long COVID, and even dying. Yes, deaths. They were over 600 this week in the United States. Want to be informed with what's going on? Well, you can subscribe to my channel down below. Share this video with anyone you know. If you like this content, give it a thumbs up. The more people that hit that like button, the more YouTube is going to push this throughout the algorithm. And another way they'll push it out the algorithm more is if you hit that notification bell and watch the video when you get notified by it. The more that watch it early on, the more YouTube's going to say, hey, this is interesting content. We'll push it on. And what happens when we do that? Well, guess what? We inform more people and we keep more people safe before it's too late, because in some cases, some people have had COVID so many times that they're just one case away from going on to long COVID. That's right. The more times you get COVID, the more your chances increase of getting long COVID. All right, let's get right into it and stop wasting any time, because there's a lot to talk about today, believe it or not. We do have Pennsylvania wastewater data, which updated today, and we do have several wastewater sites I want to show you on Wastewater SCAN that are showing things are making a U-turn in some places. Yes, places that started to drop may now start to be going back up again. Yeah, it's a problem. Starting off in California. California's COVID surge is surprisingly stronger, longer lasting than experts had expected. And if we just skim through this article, I read this whole article earlier, it definitely sounds like this wave is lasting longer. And one of the things they talk about is these continuous variants coming. KP 3.1.1 seems to be the most adapted in transmission, they're saying. And then also, the strength of this summer's COVID surge probably is largely related to the ever more infectious subvariants that continue to emerge as the coronavirus evolves, said Dr. Elizabeth Hudson. If we continue on down here, yeah, last thing I wanted to show you in this was this particular surge is fairly robust and long-lasting, a little longer than I thought that it would. It's certainly a very different from last summer, Hudson said, and it is. Last summer, we didn't have variant after variant. I've lost track. How many variants have we had take over at the top now? I think this is number 3 or number 4 at this point, and 3.1.1 seems to be the best one at doing so just yet. But there is some good news in this. Real quickly, I should add, hospitalizations are not as high as they have been other years, but with cases trying to go up yet again in a few places, that could be problematic. Moving on now to this. In Pennsylvania, I believe this is Erie County, Pennsylvania. I looked into it deeper, and I do believe this is Erie County, Pennsylvania. They see their first Mpox case in quite some time. They do not state the precise date, and their Erie County Department of Health did not state the precise date. It was somewhere between April and June that they had this. Mongolia reports 2 additional measles cases, which is not a good thing whatsoever. This is as of August 5th. Moving on now to our next story. Respiratory illnesses on the rise as Louisiana children head back to school. Yep, we've been talking about that for a while. It's getting to be back to school time. You know, children mixing in the classrooms after those summer vacations and everything that went on this summer. COVID wave, it's still ongoing. And yes, you're going to have, probably for another week or two, Louisiana may still have high COVID transmission because, hey, it is back to school time. Eventually, you will peak soon, and you'll be one of the sooner states that does peak for this wave. Moving on now to this. I just want to show you a little excerpt here from Mike Horger. You know, we take a look at his PMC model pretty much every week, and I just want to read you one line. We just hit 1 million daily COVID infections in the U.S. per wastewater surveillance data. Repeating, he says we just hit 1 million daily COVID infections. Folks, it's August. No, it's not wintertime. It's August, and here we are in the United States doing 1 million daily COVID infections a day. That is absolutely insane to even think about in the summertime when, you know, more people are outdoors. In the South, maybe you're rushing inside for air conditioner because it's so hot. Yes, 1 million COVID cases in the summertime. Not good. Now let's take a look at today's pollen levels, refreshing the map, and I do have some good news for you. You can see here there's some more green over the Great Lakes, green in the southeast, green up in Maine, but in between there's a lot of orange for pollen levels today. Some green, hey, this is good news, green in Oregon and portions of Washington, with yellow as well. There is some orange in Nevada and portions of California. Once again, moderate levels everywhere in between. 42% of the country is in medium status at this time. Taking a look at air quality levels, we can see the West Coast. Yeah, you still have problem spots. California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana. Wildfires continue to be a problem. And then from Texas, you could draw a diagonal line right on up to New York State. You do have problematic areas of just moderate air quality. Not as extreme as what's going on in the Pacific Northwest, like Washington State or even Oregon for that matter. But there are problematic areas, so please be careful with that. Heat-related illnesses, they continue to be a problem across the United States, but it looks to me like they're slightly less this week. All right, want to learn more about climate and weather? You can do so over on my other Twitter account or X account, Climate Data Report. I will be tweeting there in just a little bit after today's update. Taking a look at the latest levels for EMS calls in Philadelphia yesterday. That was Sunday's levels. Here we go. Yeah, yesterday was a busy day in Philadelphia. 871 medic incidents were reported yesterday, and doing a live look at what's going on in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, I'm seeing there are currently, 18 calls in Montgomery County, and I do see, not one, but two cardiac arrest calls. One in Upper Dublin, one in North Wales, several cardiac emergency calls, unresponsive person, respiratory emergency. Yeah, it's just really busy right now in Montgomery County. Hopefully not as busy in Chester County. Ooh, this is not good. It's busy in Chester County as well. I'm leading up to something here. Respiratory difficulty, dead on arrival, another respiratory difficulty, cardiac arrest yet again. Wow, it's way too busy, and let's continue with this. Pennsylvania, here's new wastewater data. Now, we're not seeing anywhere that's saying large increase. That's a good thing, but we are seeing several areas that are reporting an increase at this time. Westmoreland County, at the Leechburg facility, you're seeing an increase. Harrisburg, Dauphin County, you're seeing an increase. Carlisle, Cumberland County, you're seeing an increase. Delaware County, Pennsylvania is seeing an increase. Montgomery County, Pennsylvania is seeing an increase. Lehigh Valley, up around Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, you're seeing an increase at this time. Monroe County, hey, the Pocono Mountains is starting to see an increase. And just a few weeks ago, in the Pocono Mountains was the NASCAR race, the Pocono race, and plus it's summertime. This is a huge tourist area in the summertime. You have summer camps, Boy Scout summer camps. You have recreational activities, camping, boating, all kinds of stuff, hiking. You have resorts. This is a very busy area in the summertime. It only makes sense that they're going up. And Scranton, Lackawanna County, yes, you're starting to see a rise now as well. So it's safe to say, as expected, Pennsylvania is seeing its typical August rise. And hey, we're just 1 to 2 weeks away from the college students going back. You know, they're going to mix and mingle and have their parties once they go back. So not good to see. Let's take a look at a few Walgreens states for today. National positivity rate did rise this week to 40.2%. The prior week was 39.4%. Total test 10,596. The prior week is 8,132. I think we should start off today on a positive note. Delaware's positivity rate dropped by 9.9%. It was 36.9%. It was 46.8%, and it dropped to 36.9%. Total test, 65 versus 47. That's some good news to report. How about Georgia? Georgia's positivity rate this week is 35.7%. The prior week was 35.5%. That's up 0.2%. Total test, 569 versus 442. Minnesota this week sees an increase in the positivity rate to 36.9% from 33.1% COVID positivity rate. That is up by 3.9%. Testing is down ever so slightly, so it's probably a combo of testing down and rising cases. 111 tests versus 118. New Mexico this week reports a big increase in the COVID positivity rate, 47.2% versus 31.9%. That's a difference of up 15.3%. Total tests, 53 versus 47. Mississippi this week reports 38.7% positivity rate. That is up by 12.8% from 25.9% last week. Total test, 75 versus 58. But you know what, folks? I'm feeling it. We're just a few weeks away from seeing some more green on this map. I can really feel it. I'm trying to be optimistic here, but man, some of these positivity rate increases are just ridiculous. Arizona, 43.7%. The prior week was 40.7%, up 3%. 261 total tests versus 246. I don't think we looked at North Carolina yesterday. North Carolina, wow. Big testing increase, and the positivity rate still went up. Positivity rate is 39.5%. Prior week is 37.9%. And that's up by 1.6% total test. 762 versus 504. But if we look really closely, it does look like maybe that's going to start dropping soon. Let's take a look at Connecticut. Connecticut this week reports 34.1% positivity rate versus 31.9%. Difference of up 2.2%, 44 versus 47. You can see they did peak back in, we'll say, mid-July, and they were dropping and dropping. Now, all suddenly, right around the time KP 3.1.1 came to town, look at this, going up again, because that variant can be more immune evasive, and I reckon we should end Walgreens on a good note. If you live in Missouri, your positivity rate for COVID from Walgreens testing is 35.3%. That's down 3.9% from 39.2%. Total tests, though, 167 versus 148. Testing did go up. That is a good thing. All right, let's take a look at the viral activity levels in Canada. Refreshing it, and we see COVID is moderate. Flu A, Flu B, and RSV are all low at this time. All right, we want to take a look at a few wastewater scan sites. We're starting off in New Jersey today, so I'm seeing some things here that I am not liking whatsoever. Take a look at this. Union Beach. This is this is south of the Staten Island area in New Jersey, which Staten Island's in New York. Take a look at this. Usually you would think, oh, this is a wonky movement. It might not be. We are starting to see levels rapidly surge straight upward. At the end, yes, that's probably wonky. But prior to that, I mean, they were just getting ready to go down. Then, right around time, KP 3.1.1 came to town. Boom, up. I mean, this is terribly concerning as to what's going on here. Let's go further to the south of New Jersey. Let's go down to Oakhurst, New Jersey. Take a look at this. This shows things really well. Things were dropping. Things were moving along. Then right at the end of July, it started going up once again. So it's, like I said, some places are starting to make a U-turn and go back up. It's not happening everywhere. There's some places that are not doing it. But in New Jersey, we're definitely seeing places that are starting to go back up once again. Belmar, New Jersey, you can see here that was dropping. Very early indications that that may even be starting to go back up again. Let's go out to the West Coast. I want to show you a couple wastewater sites in California, maybe 3. How about that? Let's go up to San Francisco. There are 2 different sides to the story in San Francisco. Here's the more eastern wastewater site, which this population has 750,000 at this wastewater site. It's high for COVID still, but it's starting to drop. However, if we go to the more western site, we just showed you the eastern one. Take a look at this. 250,000 population. It's dropping. It was dropping. Now it's starting to go back upward again. So like I said, even in California, there's a couple places doing U-turns. I haven't looked at every wastewater site in California. I mean, there's a lot of wastewater sites, but I have seen a few that are starting to make U-turns. I thought I saw one in Los Angeles. Yeah, this one is just slowly continuing to go up for COVID at this time. Here's another wastewater site in Los Angeles. This one was going up, and then it made a wonky movement down. And even at that, it's pretty far in between updates. Let's go to the more eastern site, and that site is pretty much flat at this. It rose ever so slightly and then dropped a little bit, so it's not really doing much there. Alrighty, moving on. Let's take a look at New Jersey today on their COVID dashboard, if we can. Well, it was coming up, and now it's refreshing. But New Jersey, a lot of hospitals did not report once again today, which is a problem. Only 51 out of 70 hospitals reported. Remember, for a while, it was saying 70 out of 70 when it seemed like, wait a second, that can't be right. There has to be hospitals missing. Well, they've fixed this once again to show the hospitals that are missing. So 19 hospitals missing, 398 hospitalizations, 13 people on a ventilator, in the ICU at this time. If it does ever come up, it is frozen for us at the moment. There we go. 40 people in the ICU and 33 discharges at this time. New York State. I want to correct myself on something. Yesterday, New York State's number was actually lower than last week, but take a look at this large drop that they're seeing all of a sudden today. I don't know if that's actually believable. 1,224 cases, because I went back and watched last week's video to correct myself, and I noticed when I did that, I saw the number that I read out last Monday compared to the number that was on this chart for last Monday yesterday. They actually corrected it a little bit higher, so this does seem really low. Hey, maybe they're dropping that much. Let's go over to hospitalizations, which say a different story. As we all know, hospitalizations, like cases, but there's a reason why hospitalizations are still going up. Because right now, well, let's talk about statewide level. 1,255 people in the hospital, 101 in the ICU. It's a mixed picture all across the state. We're going to go to several different regions here. And starting off with the capital region, you will see in the capital region, levels are still rising somewhat, at least for hospitalizations. 67 people in the hospital, 9 in the ICU. Let's go down to central region. We may just go through all these regions. Central region, you're dropping at this time. 34 hospitalized, 4 in the ICU. Finger Lakes at this time, you note here, they did see an increase today. 118 people hospitalized, 5 people in the ICU. Then check out Long Island. Suddenly, Long Island today came in with a higher number than they reported all of last week. And last week was starting to drop. Suddenly, Long Island today goes up. 231 people in the hospital versus 22 in the ICU. And yes, again, remember Nassau County out that way. If you haven't heard about what's going on with mass ban in Nassau County, watch my previous video. I opted not to include that in this video. Mid-Hudson Valley, look at this. Yep, just only one higher than last week, 176 versus 175, and 10 people in the ICU. Mohawk Valley, wait till you see this. The Mohawk Valley saw a huge increase today. 23 versus 16. Yeah, I get it. We're only talking about 7 hospitalizations, but on a chart, when you look at the chart, that's a pretty big increase. Then we come down to New York City. New York City at this time is dropping, which is some good news. Yeah, it's up a little bit from the previous report, but overall, New York City has been starting to drop a little bit. Actually, if we take a look at this, it's actually a little higher than last Tuesday's report. So we'll have to see what happens here. Hopefully New York City will drop, or they could just level off. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Cases, when you look at them for New York City, they have been starting to drop at this time. But remember, KP 3.1.1 just came to town. And yes, new variants can cause things to reverse and go back up. You just saw what's happening with the wastewater sites in New Jersey at this time. Take a look at this. North Country is seeing 30 hospitalized, 1 in the ICU. Southern Tier at this time, number came way down today. But then when we go to Western New York, I think this is the one. Yes, this is the one that I really wanted you to see. Hospitalizations, 35 versus with 8 in the ICU. Then we come to today. Well, that jumps up to 53. So clearly, Western New York has only just started rising since about mid-July. Some parts of New York started later than New York City. New York City was one of the first areas in New York State to start rising. Alrighty, folks, I hope you enjoyed this pandemic update for today. I hope it informed you. If it did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, hit that notification bell, share this with anyone you know, and leave your comments down below. I do recognize there's a couple things we did not get today. There's a couple states that updated today. We didn't get to Michigan, and I think Louisiana was today as well. I'll try and get to those two states tomorrow if I remember. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a note of that right now. Have a great afternoon, everyone, but until I see you again next time, stay safe, and thanks for watching.